Imagine protecting humanity from monsters your whole life, but one day, you get backstabbed by those ungrateful, ugly, worthless humans. As you die, a goddess appears and reincarnates you as a 10-year-old with the strongest powers and rizz every girl he sees, like you wouldn't in your whole life. In a distant past, during a time when gods and magic ruled over everything, we encounter the demon lord, Linus Magnus. He hears troubling news. The other demon lords have already been defeated, and 6 mighty heroes are now on their way to challenge him. His army of undead soldiers is locked in fierce combat with human forces when suddenly, a massive tree starts to grow. One of the heroes rides atop this enormous tree and shoots an arrow into the sky. The arrow splits into many beams of light, which rain down upon the battlefield, bringing fallen soldiers back to life. Then, a mighty dragon joins the fight on the side of the humans, launching an assault on Linus's castle. As the humans move in closer, the giant tree starts to attack with its long roots. Linus gets ready to go out and battle them, but his loyal follower reminds him of his vow to the goddess of darkness. It's not his time to die yet. Accepting this, Linus puts away his staff and watches as his castle begins to crumble. Even though he admits defeat, he declares that as the king of the undead, he will rise again in 1,000 years to reclaim what is his. Many centuries later, we shift to a scene where 2 cute girls are exploring a recently discovered ruin, unearthed by a powerful earthquake. They are investigating to see if it contains a void nest. These girls are Celia, a swordswoman in training, and her maid, Regina. As they delve deeper into the ruin, Regina doubts they'll find anything, but Celia reminds her that void creatures tend to hide in deep, underground places. Using a special device to detect these void creatures, they stumble upon some strange statues and think the place might be an ancient tomb. As they get closer to a door, their device starts going off, but the door is magically sealed. Celia examines the inscriptions on the door but struggles to decipher the text. Regina, thinking it will take some time, decides to explore the surrounding area on her own. As Celia continues to investigate, she touches the door and it unexpectedly opens. The room lights up, revealing a massive crystal inside. The device they were using goes haywire and finally breaks from the overload. Celia steps closer to the crystal and notices that there's a person trapped inside. We then flash back to 1,000 years earlier, where Linus meets with the goddess of darkness, Roselia. She reminds him of their pact. 1,000 years from now, a human suitable to carry her power will appear, and it is Linus's task to find them. Linus pleads with her to stay with him, but she flies off into the darkness. In the present, Celia tries to break the crystal open, but her attacks do nothing. This disturbance awakens Linus, who is confused about how she entered a room that should be sealed by powerful magic. He wonders if 1,000 years have indeed passed and casts a spell that allows him to understand Celia's language. Thinking she's some sort of tomb raider, he gets ready to punish her, but before he can, the crystal shatters, sending a blast that knocks her back. As he approaches her, Celia is bewildered to see a young child instead of an adult. Linus catches a glimpse of his reflection and realizes he's been reincarnated as a child. He begins to wonder if his spell went wrong and brought him back to his youthful self when he was still a hero. Celia, curious about why he was inside the crystal, checks to see if he's alright. Linus feels a bit embarrassed and even finds her somewhat charming. Celia assumes he might be suffering from amnesia and quickly promises to protect him. Linus, the mighty demon lord, is shocked to be treated with such kindness but finds himself strangely enjoying the melons before eventually passing out. When Linus wakes up, Celia gives him some food. But after being an undead for so long, he has lost his sense of taste. He's baffled that his body could faint from hunger, feeling this is humiliating. Although he initially considers punishing Celia for her overly familiar behavior, he rethinks it, remembering her kindness and sharing her food. Celia then introduces herself, mentioning that she is a student training to become a swordswoman at the Holy Sword Academy. She asks Linus for his name, and he tells her he is Linus Magnus. She finds his name intriguing. Linus expects her to recognize it from the legends about his past, but instead, she simply thinks it's a cute name and affectionately calls him Leo. Curious about how he ended up in the ruin, she speculates he might have been captured and trapped by the void. Linus, confused, asks her what the void is. Surprised, Celia explains that the void are creatures that emerged 64 years ago and have since become humanity's greatest threat. Meanwhile, we see Regina exploring a different part of the ruins by herself. Her device starts beeping, signaling that something is nearby, and suddenly, a crystal begins to move. Quickly, she activates her holy sword, getting ready for a fight. At the same time, Celia explains to Leo that there's still so much they don't understand about these void creatures. Leo, on the other hand, is trying to figure out what the f***ing year it is. But with the new calendar system in place, Celia can only tell him it's the 64th year of this new era. Suddenly, there's a massive explosion, and Regina reports that a huge void creature has appeared. Acting fast, Celia jumps on Leo to protect him from the falling debris, reassuring him not to be scared. Just then, the wall crumbles, and a massive, ogre-like void creature bursts through. Celia tries to shoot it with her weapon, but it has no effect. Leo steps forward, determined to fight the creature and protect Celia. But he stumbles over his cloak, still not used to his new child-sized body. The monster draws closer, but before it can attack, it is blasted away by Regina, who has just arrived. Regina looks at Leo, puzzled about who he is, but Celia quickly tells her they'll discuss it later. The void creature starts to rise again, so Regina changes her weapon into a gigantic cannon and blasts the monster in the chest. Despite this powerful attack, the creature manages to survive, and Leo is stunned, recognizing the power level of Regina's attack as being equal to a high-level magic spell. Regina tells Celia and Leo to escape while she handles the monster. Celia hesitates, not wanting to leave Regina behind. But thinking about Leo's safety, she agrees to run. As they flee, Leo reflects on how everything seems to be going wrong. He considers going back to fight the monster, but decides to stay with Celia to learn more about the current world. As they make their way out, another void monster blocks their path. Celia tells Leo to run while she holds it off, but Leo is tempted to reveal his true power and defeat the creature himself. Just as he is about to cast a spell, Celia pushes him aside, taking a hit from the monster. She is thrown to the ground, bleeding, but even then, she worries about Leo's safety, telling him to escape and apologizing for not being able to protect him. Another void creature shows up, and Leo finds himself surrounded. As the monsters attack, Leo is suddenly shielded by a magical barrier. He summons his staff and quickly crushes one of the creatures with a powerful gravity spell. Then, he follows up with a fireball, easily destroying the other two monsters. However, he is shocked to see that the monster's bones remain, realizing that his powers are only a fraction of what they were when he was in his true form as a demon lord. Although Leo is not usually concerned with humans, he is impressed by Celia's bravery. Feeling a sense of respect, he decides to save her. He uses his magic to revive her, and a strange symbol appears on her body as she is brought back to life. Regina manages to finish off the monster she was fighting and quickly tries to contact Celia. Leo is amazed at the advanced technology humans have developed over the years. When Celia wakes up, she immediately hugs Leo, relieved that he is safe, which surprises him. He is confused that her first concern is for him and not herself. She wonders how she is still alive, and Leo casually says her wounds weren't that serious and that he used a healing spell on her. Celia is puzzled and asks if he used a holy sword power. Leo, unsure of what she means, listens as Celia explains that holy swords are a special power that humans developed to fight against the void creatures. When the void first appeared, some children were born with strange abilities, leading to the creation of these holy swords, which match the personality of the person who wields them. She adds that she hasn't received her own holy sword yet, so she fights using magical devices instead. Regina joins them, curious about the monsters they faced. Celia also wants to know what happened, but Leo simply says that he hid and the monsters seem to disappear on their own. They finally make it outside and decide to take Leo back to the city with them. As they walk, Regina introduces herself, but catches Leo staring at her and teasingly calls him names. Celia tells Regina to stop being weird, but she continues to tease Leo, who is annoyed that someone as powerful as him is being made fun of by a girl. When they reach the city, Leo is amazed by what he sees. Celia explains that this place is called the 7th Assault Garden, the last stronghold for humanity against the void creatures. Leo can't believe that he is truly 1,000 years in the future. We then flash back to 6 years earlier, during a terrifying attack on the 3rd Assault Garden by an army of void creatures. The people take shelter in a large mansion, where a young Celia and Regina are seen holding each other in fear. Regina is scared by the sounds of battle outside, but Celia tries to comfort her, saying that her parents and the other knights have never lost a fight before. As the noise outside grows louder, Celia declares that she will join the battle as soon as she is blessed with a holy sword and that she is starting her training next week. The sounds of the fight become even more intense, and as Celia tries to rush outside to help her family, Regina holds her back, urging her to stay calm. They are rescued later, but they learn that all the holy knights, including Celia's parents, have died. Celia falls to her knees, and both girls cry over the loss. Back in the present, Leo wonders if the entire island is a giant fortress. Regina tells him that it is also a town where people live and must defend. Leo is fascinated to learn that the island is actually mobile. Celia contacts her superiors, informing them that they are bringing a young boy who has awakened his holy sword, assuming it was used to heal her wounds. She tells Leo he will now stay with them at the Excalibur Academy, where people with holy swords are trained to become skilled warriors. Regina goes off to do some shopping, while Celia stays with Leo and explains that he must pass through an examination gate before entering the academy. Leo, now alone, heads to the bathroom, wondering how everything has gone so wrong from his original plans and how he ended up trapped in the body of a child. He decides to summon his old followers, Blackas and Sherry, from the shadows. They are surprised to see him in his current form, with Sherry even saying he looks cute. He explains that his reincarnation ritual didn't work as planned and brought him back to his old human form from when he was a hero. Leo tells them they are on a man-made floating island called Assault Garden 7 and guesses that there are 6 other similar islands. He notes how much humanity has changed since the old days when they were much weaker. He orders Blackas and Sherry to secretly scout around the island without using any magic while he goes undercover at the academy as a human. In the examination room, Leo is faced with controls and monitors he doesn't understand and learns he must carefully manage his mana levels. Suddenly, an alarm goes off, but he quickly grabs his ID card and heads for the exit. Before he can leave, Celia snatches the card to take a picture of it. She explains that she needs his ID to arrange a test to determine the nature of his holy sword and decides to keep it for now. As Leo and Celia make their way to the academy, Leo is surprised by how calm and peaceful everything is. Celia explains that the island has never been attacked by the void creatures, which is why things are so calm. As they walk through the academy, Leo is curious about why they have things like dance halls instead of just focusing on military training. Celia tells him that having fun activities like dancing actually helps the students do better in their training. Then, she shows him the training grounds where he'll have to take a test to find out if he has a holy sword, which they call the Sword Inquiry. But as they walk past the dorms, Celia suddenly gets a headache and says she needs to start training again to get her own holy sword. Just then, a boy named Muzel and his group block their path. Muzel starts teasing Celia and making fun of Leo, treating him like he's just a little kid. The girls with Muzel look like they're under some sort of control because of his holy sword. Muzel arrogantly tells Celia she should join his group of girls, but she refuses. He gets angry and grabs her by the hair. Leo gets really mad and uses a spell to make Muzel fall to his knees in front of him. Leo warns him to leave Celia alone, which makes Muzel pull out his own holy weapon, ready to fight. But before they can start, a girl named Elfine steps in and threatens to report Muzel to the school authorities. Muzel grudgingly backs off, and we learn that Elfine is in the same platoon as Celia. Celia introduces Leo to Elfine, who explains she couldn't join their last mission because she was busy checking out a strange magical signal they detected on the island. She says that a special team is going to investigate it further. They then go to the Hazard Dorm, which is an old, beat-up building where Celia's team lives. The dorms are assigned based on how well you do, so the better you perform, the nicer the dorm you get. Celia takes Leo upstairs, and he asks if it's okay for him to stay in a girl's dormitory. Celia laughs and says it's fine since he looks like a little kid. She points him to the bathroom so he can take a shower. Leo is amazed by the hot water since he's not used to such comforts. While he's in the shower, Celia suddenly comes in and starts helping him wash up. She tells him that he can join any team he wants but admits she'd really like it if he joined hers. Leo asks why she's so eager to fight, even though she doesn't have a holy sword. Before she can answer, Celia suddenly faints. Leo quickly uses a special mark on her body to bring her back to life, and she ends up drinking blood from his neck to regain her strength. Celia is shocked and confused by what she did, and Leo explains that she wasn't just healed, she had actually died. Then, we flash back to 2 years earlier, when Celia was having a tough time during a training session with some combat robots. Muzel shows up, trying to convince her to join his team instead of continuing to fight. But Regina arrives and scares him off, telling Celia that once she gets her holy sword, she'll be able to handle guys like Muzel easily. Celia tells Regina that her reasons for wanting a holy sword are not just about power. Back in the present, Celia wakes up, and Leo finally tells her the truth. He is actually an ancient sorcerer who has been brought back to life. He explains that he used a powerful spell to revive her, but in doing so, he accidentally turned her into an undead vampire. That's why she drank his blood, to restore her mana, or magic energy. Celia then tells Leo about how the void creatures attacked her hometown, leaving her and Regina as orphans. The academy took them in, and she's been going on dangerous missions ever since, hoping to awaken her own holy sword. She asks Leo if it's still possible for her to get a holy sword now that she's a vampire. Leo isn't sure, but he tells her she's definitely stronger now than she was before. Suddenly, Leo's stomach growls loudly, and he feels embarrassed because he's not used to feeling hungry again. At the cafeteria, Leo tries to buy some food with a gold coin, thinking it's worth a lot. But he's shocked to find out that the island only accepts credits and that gold isn't valuable anymore. He realizes all the money he had saved up from the past is now worthless. Nearby, some thugs are hassling a girl, demanding she pays them back. When she asks for more time, they get pushy, but she scares them off with just a wooden sword. This girl, Sakuya, is also part of Celia's team. She apologizes for missing the exploration mission, saying she was out gambling after her lessons. Sakuya already knows about Leo from Elfine, and Leo notices that she's really good with a sword. Celia buys lunch for everyone, and Leo asks Sakuya about her unusual clothes. She says they're from her homeland, which was destroyed by the void, and vows to destroy all the void creatures. It also turns out that she likes to gamble, and two girls come over asking her for the money she owes them, but she tries to dodge the question. Later on, at the training grounds, a woman named Alto is in charge of Leo's holy sword test. Leo brings out his staff and says it's just a support weapon, but everyone is amazed when he easily destroys 3 robots designed to simulate void creatures. Alto is surprised and says they need to do more tests. Then, Muzel shows up and suggests that Leo could prove his strength by fighting him instead. They agree to a duel, but when Celia sees that Muzel's whole team is going to fight, she insists on helping Leo. Muzel agrees, but only if Celia agrees to join his team if they lose. Leo accepts the challenge, betting that if they win, Muzel has to leave Celia alone forever. The fight starts under Alto's watch, and Celia quickly defeats several members of Muzel's team. While Celia is fighting, another girl from Muzel's group tries to attack Leo, but he stops her with a shadow spell. Regina, who overslept, rushes to the training grounds and is shocked to see the battle happening. Celia continues to beat Muzel's team, but when she confronts Muzel, he uses his holy sword to bind her and knock her weapon away. Muzel then goes after Leo, and just when it looks like Leo will have to fight alone, Celia's desire to protect him causes her holy sword to awaken. She breaks free from Muzel's spell and charges at him, slicing his holy sword in half. With his sword destroyed, Muzel loses control over his team, and the girls snap out of it. Muzel admits defeat, and Regina rushes over to hug Celia while everyone cheers. Back at the dorm, Celia thanks Leo for his help and promises to protect him as his ally, but she also asks him to help her get stronger. That night, the team throws a party to celebrate Celia's victory, and to welcome Leo to their group. They argue over whose room Leo should stay in, and he chooses to stay with Celia since she was the one who found him first. Later, Leo is in Elfine's room, signing up for the Academy's network. She tells him she used to be a fighter in her old team, but now she works as a data analyst because she lost her powers after seeing her friends die in a fight with the Void. Leo registers himself and borrows Elfine's tablet, checking out a map of the world. He remembers how things used to be and notices that the Void creatures seem to show up in places where big battles happened long ago. All of a sudden, Blackas appears from Leo's shadow and tells him that the whole city runs on a giant mana crystal called the power plant. Then Sherry shows up, telling Leo that he and the war he fought in have been completely forgotten by people, which Leo finds strange. Meanwhile, some divers are searching underwater around the island for any signs of a void outbreak. They suddenly get attacked by a tree-like creature that calls out Leo's name. We jump back to the year 432 in the Holy God calendar, where we see a young Leo, known as the hero of the Holy Sword, traveling to defeat some gargoyles that have been scaring people. His guide tells him he's a really good guy for helping deal with these monsters while the other 6 heroes are busy guarding the Imperial City. But when they get to where the monsters are supposed to be, Leo realizes it was all a setup. A bunch of soldiers suddenly show up, surround him, and chain him up. They stab him in the chest with spears, planning to leave him to die, saying he won't be a problem for their master anymore. As Leo lies there, dying, the goddess of darkness, Roselia, appears to him. She asks if he hates the people who betrayed him, but Leo says he doesn't think they are truly evil. Roselia then tries to convince him to join her side, saying she's always been interested in him and wants him to fight against the world with her. She says she likes him and wants him to be with her. Suddenly, Leo wakes up from this strange dream. He remembers his mission to rebuild his demon army. He uses a special magic mark to wake Celia from her sleep and tells her that he can control his followers with this mark. Celia worries and asks if Leo might make her do something bad, but he reassures her that he wouldn't do that. He also reminds her that even though she gets thirsty for blood at night, she should at least ask before biting him. Celia gets a call from Elfine, who tells her there was a big strategy meeting earlier on their day off. She promises to let Celia know more when she finds out. Celia then asks Leo to train her, and Leo jokes that she seems full of energy after drinking his blood. At the command center, a group of leaders and the acting director, Castoros, are talking about losing contact with their marine team. They mention that they detected void activity for just 3 seconds before everything went silent, which is really weird for a void attack. They look at some blurry pictures of a strange creature and wonder if it's a new type of void that looks like a tree, or maybe a powerful void lord. They talk about how this is similar to a big attack from 6 years ago, and how much they've gotten better at defending themselves since then. As they discuss how to handle this, Castoros gets a call from the real commander, who orders them to check things out again. Gylian, the division commander, says he'll gather a team of top soldiers to investigate and promises that nothing bad will happen to the island. Meanwhile, back at the training grounds, Celia has been getting stronger and takes down training robots quickly. Leo decides to make things tougher for her by setting up a magical barrier around the area, and summoning a bunch of low-level skeletons for her to fight. After battling them all, Celia is exhausted. She offers to buy Leo a meal to thank him for the training, but Leo isn't sure about eating her food again, even though his stomach is growling loudly. In another part of the island, a second group is searching underwater for the Void Lord. At the dorms, Sakuya sees Blacka sitting outside and thinks he's cute, so she ties some food around his neck for later. Regina walks into Elfine's room with some new sweets for her to try. Sakuya comes in too, talking about the dog she found outside. Regina asks why Elfine is in her uniform, and Elfine explains that she's on duty with the recon squad. Celia and Leo drive around the city in her vehicle, and Leo is amazed by all the things humans have built. We see Sherry working in a kitchen to earn money for Leo. She's chopping potatoes, but ends up cutting the bowl, too. The chef tells her to go sweep outside as punishment. Just as she's about to start, she sees Celia and Leo arriving and hides behind the door. Celia buys some donuts for someone, and Sherry wonders where they're going as they drive off. They arrive at a place called the Sunny Spot, which is a restaurant, and a bunch of kids run out to greet Celia. It turns out these kids are orphans who live at the restaurant, and Celia sometimes helps take care of them. Leo remembers that he was an orphan too, but his life was a lot different. Inside, a kid named Dean plays a prank on Celia by lifting her skirt, and Leo tries to catch him, but Celia tells him to relax. They're joined by the restaurant owner, Miss Frenia, and Celia introduces Leo to her. Celia says she brought donuts and vegetables for them and that she'll cook dinner tonight. Leo realizes this is the place Celia wants to protect, and he wonders if he has anything left in his life that he cares about protecting. Back at the control room, Elfine picks up strange vibrations on the radar coming from under the city, and Sakuya says she has a bad feeling about it. Down in the storage area of the city, workers are checking the food supplies and are shocked to see that tree roots have started growing into the room. We then jump back to the year 428 of the Holy God calendar, where a city is being attacked by monsters. Up on the city walls, 3 heroes, including a 12-year-old Leo, are watching as the monsters approach. Terrace, one of the heroes, says they can't wait for the other heroes to arrive, and the oldest, Aniclimax, decides to destroy all the monsters and the people in the city too. He casts a spell that will burn everything alive and tells Terrace to bring the people back to life afterward. But Leo doesn't like this plan. He draws his sword and cuts through Aniclimax's spell, saying he doesn't agree with killing and reviving everyone. Leo jumps down from the wall and fights the monsters by himself, defeating them all. The people cheer for him, but Aniclimax warns that Leo's power might lead to his downfall one day. Back in the present, in the control room, they get news that the underwater creature has disappeared. Castoros thinks it must be a void creature if it can vanish like that, but Gylian suggests it might have turned to crystal, and says they need to destroy it before it comes back. They're told that a holy swordswoman from the 18th platoon wants to share some findings with them. At first, the military advisor doesn't care about what a student has to say, but when they hear she's from the Philip family, they change their minds. Elfine appears on the screen and explains that a void has sneaked into the underground parts of the island and is messing with the network. Everyone is shocked by this, and the control room staff confirm that strange sounds have been reported from Block 59 and that the void seems to be moving. Elfine thinks the Void might be trying to go deeper into the city by moving secretly. Some people argue that a Void creature couldn't be this smart. But then another report comes in from the storage department, saying there are thick roots growing in one of the storerooms. Regina is trying to call Celia, but she can't get through. Elfine decides to send a drone over to the sunny spot, where Celia and Leo are hanging out with the kids. Meanwhile, some soldiers find a Void creature in a storage room, but it escapes, leaving everyone confused. Elfine quickly alerts them that the Void is heading toward the power plant along the power lines. If it reaches the power plant, it could absorb a lot of energy and cause a massive stampede of monsters. The Void gets to the power plant and starts fighting against the security systems. At the same time, Castoros, the acting director, orders the island to enter fortress mode and tells everyone to evacuate to the shelters. Eventually, the Void reaches the mana crystal inside the plant, which causes a stampede, and monsters start pouring out of the sky. In the control room, the leaders get ready for a long fight, knowing they need to hold out for at least 3 days until backup arrives from the capital. Leo and Celia quickly figure out what's going on and jump into action. Leo tells Sherry to keep Celia's friends safe and help get the kids to safety. As flying monsters approach, Leo joins Celia, who is already preparing to fight. Celia quickly cuts through 2 of the monsters, while Leo burns the rest with fire magic. Suddenly, 3 large ogre-class voids appear near where the rest of their team is stationed. Sakuya takes them down one by one, and Regina uses her cannon to handle the others. They manage to clear all the nearby monsters but get nervous when a huge Hydra-class void shows up, followed by a dragon-class void flying down from the sky. Leo looks at the dragon and laughs, saying how even great dragons have turned into void creatures. He decides to take on the dragon himself and tells Celia to protect him while he prepares a powerful spell. Leo uses a level 10 spell to blast the dragon, but it doesn't die and crashes near them. As it lands, the dragon breathes fire, knocking Celia away. Blackas comes out of the shadows to help, buying Leo enough time to cast another spell. Blackas manages to hold the dragon off just long enough for Leo to finish his spell, finally defeating it. But before they can celebrate, the ground starts shaking, and a big crack opens up. Thick branches shoot out, grabbing Celia and pulling her underground. Leo runs toward the crack, but more branches block his way. The branches twist and form into a creature that calls Leo by his name, and Leo realizes it's Aniclimax, an old enemy from his past. We flash back to the year 434 of the Holy God calendar, at the undead city of Necrosa. Leo returns to his castle after a battle, and Roselia, the goddess of darkness, is waiting for him. It's clear that Leo is turning into an undead, with half of his face looking like a skeleton. He tells Roselia that he won a big fight against a strong enemy and offers her the treasures he took. She tells him to hold on to them for now. Roselia praises him, and Leo mentions he has a new friend named Blackas, a prince from the Shadow Kingdom. They help each other out because of problems in Blackas' kingdom, and in return, Leo has learned some spells from him. Roselia decides to give Leo a special gift, the holy sword he used to have when he was a hero. She says it doesn't fit him anymore and turns it into a demon sword. She hands it to him, mentioning there are special rules for using it, which Leo already knows. Back in the present, Leo and Aniclimax face each other. Aniclimax tries to summon more void creatures, but Leo stops him with fire magic, forcing Aniclimax to retreat into the ground. Leo checks his special mark and sees that Celia is still alive because the mark hasn't faded. He swears he will defeat Aniclimax for good this time. Blackas appears from the shadows, and they talk about how Aniclimax is still alive. They wonder if Roselia might still be around too. Leo casts a spell to send some of his soldiers to guard the kids while he goes to save Celia. Blackas hears a faint sound nearby and finds Celia's communication device on the ground. Elfine is calling out to Celia, telling her to help them fight the Hydra-class Void because they need more power. Leo answers, explaining that Celia has been captured by the Voids and asks Elfine to use her Holy Sword's tracking ability to find her so he can rescue her. Elfine warns him that it's dangerous and suggests he waits for more help to arrive, but Leo insists they don't have time. Seeing the destruction Leo has already caused, Elfine decides to trust him. She uses her sword to locate Celia and finds out she's at the power plant. Leo and Blackas immediately head out to rescue her. Meanwhile, Elfine narrowly dodges an attack from the Hydra, and Sherry steps in to help, defeating the Hydra without revealing herself. Everyone is left wondering what just happened. Leo rides on Blackas to the power plant, and Blackas asks why he is so determined to help humans. Leo admits he has grown to care about them, They break into the plant, and Leo attacks Aniclimax with fire spells, but Aniclimax is unaffected because of his ability to heal quickly. Aniclimax tells Leo he should have died 2,000 years ago, but Leo replies that he wasn't really dead, just hiding his soul. Aniclimax talks about how the world has changed and how it's going to be rebuilt, but Leo doesn't get what he's saying. Faces appear on the branches, and Leo realizes that Aniclimax has merged with the priests of the Sacred Order. Deep underground, Celia is tied up by the branches. As they attack her, she realizes that her mana is being drained too fast, suspecting that Aniclimax is the one doing it. Things get worse as all the merged faces start attacking together. Leo understands that the only way to win is to find Celia and wake her up. He coats the earpiece with his blood and starts searching for Celia. Celia's desire to protect everyone causes spikes to shoot out from her blood, breaking some of the branches holding her. Leo figures out where she is and shoots the earpiece toward her. It pierces her, waking up her vampire powers. She breaks free and reunites with Leo as Blackas disappears to recover. Celia asks Leo what he did, and he tells her he gave her some of his blood. They get ready to fight Aniclimax, who starts casting multiple level 10 spells that could cause massive damage. Leo asks Celia to defend him while he goes after Aniclimax. Celia fights off the monsters with her blood magic, while Leo pulls out his demon sword. The sword, Daneslave, can only be used to defend Leo's kingdom, so Leo declares the 7th Assault Garden as his kingdom, making everyone there his people and swearing to protect them. Blackas is surprised the sword agrees with Leo. Aniclimax says it's impossible to change the world's fate, but Leo is determined to prove him wrong. He attacks Aniclimax with a powerful sword strike, defeating him. With Aniclimax gone, the void creatures stop coming, and the remaining ones start to disappear. In the control room, everyone is shocked that they were able to stop the stampede. They guess the Void Lord might have been destroyed in the power plant explosion. Meanwhile, Leo and Celia land safely and are greeted by their team, who are happy that everyone made it through safely. Back at the dorm, Leo is lying on his bed when Celia comes in with a plate of sandwiches and a medal made by the kids from the sunny spot. She nervously asks if she can have a little bit of his blood, and Leo offers her his finger. Just as Celia leans in, a few of their friends walk into the room, catching them in an awkward moment. Celia tries to explain what's going on, but no one really believes her story. After the big attack on the 7th Assault Garden, the city is being repaired. Since the power plant was damaged, they switched the city's mana supply to run on solar panels that turn sunlight into energy. Leo is curious about the land he now calls his kingdom, so he tries to sneak into a vault where ancient secrets are kept. But when he gets there, a spirit guarding the gate stops him, saying he needs permission from the administration to enter. Just then, Regina shows up behind him and starts teasing him about what he's doing there. Leo quickly lies, saying he's just there to study some old languages so he can read the writings on the walls of the ruins where he was found. Regina uses some magic to unlock the vault door and lets them both in. Inside the vault, Leo is amazed and asks how Regina managed to open it so easily. She just shrugs it off and calls it a magic trick, telling him to keep it a secret. Suddenly, they both get a message from the administration inviting them and their entire team to a special ceremony hosted by Princess Alteria on a fancy ship called the SS Hyperion. Leo suggests Regina head to the harbor first, and he'll catch up after he finishes exploring the vault. But Regina decides she doesn't want to go to the ceremony anyway. In another part of the city, a group of demihumans, led by a black lion named Bastia, is planning to crash the ceremony and kidnap the princess. They want to use her to bargain for the release of their friends who are locked up in the capital. But their plan is interrupted by Sharnak, the witch of the ever-dark forest, who suggests they change their plan. She offers them demon swords, which would give them a fighting chance against the holy swordsmen, and suggests they take over the ship and hold the princess hostage instead. She also asks them to spare a few of the holy swordsmen for a ritual, and the group agrees. Back at the harbor, the princess is waving to the crowd from the ship, and Regina is watching her from a distance. Leo meets up with the rest of the team and gives Celia a small keychain he bought for her, and she thanks him with a smile. As they walk towards the ship, they run into Fenris, a childhood friend of Celia's. He starts teasing her by calling her team lazy, and the two of them start arguing. Elfine steps in to break it up, and before leaving, Fenris congratulates Celia on awakening her holy sword. Meanwhile, the demihumans sneak onto the ship from the side facing the sea, where security is weakest. They disguise themselves as soldiers after taking out the real ones. Up on the deck, the team is enjoying themselves while Leo is off to the side reading through some old documents he found in the vault. As he reads, he realizes that some parts of history have been erased on purpose. Sherry appears and shares all the information she's gathered about the ship. Leo thanks her and gives her a churro as a reward, but Sherry doesn't seem too thrilled about it. Celia comes over and convinces Leo to join her for a swim lesson in the ship's pool. But once they start, Leo regrets it because he finds it hard to focus with Celia in her swimsuit. Meanwhile, the princess is on her way to give a speech with a few guards when they are ambushed by the disguised demihumans, who capture her. Her pet manages to escape and runs off. The demihumans take control of the deck and reveal their demon swords. Just as Fenris is about to fight back, they threaten to harm the passengers, forcing everyone to stand down. An elderly elf among the demihumans uses a magic apple bomb to keep everyone in line and takes away their weapons. They announce they are hijacking the ship to make a deal with the government. One of the military advisors, Baldur, questions their motives. The beastman gets angry at Fenris's taunts and accidentally reveals that they got their new powers from a goddess. Leo quietly tells Celia they need to split up. He uses his shadow magic to sneak away and search for the princess. In the control room, the princess, now a hostage of Sharnak, is forced to start the ship's engines with her elemental powers in exchange for the safety of the passengers. Bastia orders her to set course for the capital, but she notices a dangerous void nest ahead. It turns out Sharnak's real plan is to sacrifice the holy swordsmen who have been tainted by void magic. When Bastia tries to stop her, flames burst from his own demon sword, and Sharnak warns everyone to follow her lead or face the same fate. Regina arrives at the harbor and is surprised to see the ship setting sail. The princess's pet finds her and asks for help. Regina quickly jumps onto the ship and finds Leo in one of the hallways. It's revealed that the princess is actually Regina's younger sister. She asks Leo for help, and we learn more about Regina's past. She was born as the king's fourth daughter but was supposed to be executed because she was born during a bad omen. Duke Cristalia saved her by pleading with the king, and she was raised in secret as a maid in Celia's household. Regina reveals her true identity to Leo and tells him that she came to the harbor to see her sister, but ended up meeting her pet instead. Leo explains that the princess has been captured by demihumans who took over the ship, and they decide to rescue her together. Meanwhile, Elfine tells Celia to create a distraction so she can use a hidden drone to jam the signal for the bomb detonator. Celia pricks her finger with a fork and uses her vampire powers to cause a scene. Leo and Regina make their way to the control room but find it empty with the ship's autopilot locked. Leo suggests Regina use her royal powers to call out to the princess, but Regina hesitates to reveal who she really is. Leo insists that saving the princess is more important. Regina uses her pet to communicate with the princess without giving away her identity. The princess shares her location and gives Regina a code to stop the ship from crashing into the void nest. Leo tells Regina to take care of stopping the ship while he goes to rescue the princess. In the room where the hostages are being held, Celia and the other girls manage to free themselves and start fighting back against the hijackers. Elfine uses her drone to jam the bomb signal, and Celia uses her blood magic to destroy the detonator. They defeat the hijackers and free the hostages, but they are shocked to see that the ship is heading straight into a dangerous area filled with void creatures. As Merman-class voids start boarding the ship, the girls prepare for another fight. The battle begins, and they fight off the monsters while helping get the civilians to safety. Leo contacts Celia and tells her to go help Regina in the control room using the key he gave her. He says he'll handle the void creatures and notices that the princess is being taken away on a small aircraft. Celia gets to the control room just in time to save Regina, who is surrounded by void monsters. Meanwhile, the other girls face off against a brain eater, a much stronger void than the merman creatures. Sakuya decides to take it on by herself while the rest of the team helps the civilians escape. We see Sakuya unleash her demon sword, ready to battle the brain eater and protect everyone on the ship. After reaching the core of the ship, Regina enters the control codes using Star Calamity. She feels a sense of relief knowing that her sister, the princess, still thinks of her in this special way. As she turns the ship around, Leo uses his shadow magic to grab the escaping aircraft just as it's about to take off. He casts a fireball spell to destroy the void creatures surrounding it, boasting about how he's defending his kingdom's enemies as the Demon Lord. Nearby, Fenris and Elfine are surrounded by a horde of void monsters when, suddenly, Sherry appears out of nowhere and saves them in a flash without drawing any attention, leaving everyone puzzled. Sakuya, looking exhausted, rests in another room after taking down the Brain Eater. Facing off against Sharnak, Leo reveals that he is the Demon Lord. Sharnak doesn't believe him at first, but Leo easily blocks her spells and traps her with his magic. Leo interrogates her, and Sharnak admits that her goal is to deliver demon swords, which are created by corrupting holy swordsmen, to her goddess. When Leo demands to know the name of the goddess, Sharnak is about to reveal it when suddenly she is impaled by Zalkstar, a legendary blade known for slaying demon lords. It turns out that the sword has transformed into a void lord in these times. Leo casts a powerful level 8 fire spell on it, but the blade absorbs the magic. The sword teleports around, attacking Leo, and he struggles to keep up. Regina, watching from the ship's cameras, quickly activates the ship's weapons, which begin firing at the Void Lord and the surrounding enemies. Regina then launches a missile at the Void Lord, managing to cause some damage. Another missile is launched, but it splits open in mid-air, revealing Celia inside. She jumps out to join the fight alongside Leo. Leo tells Celia to handle the smaller void creatures while he prepares to unleash his demon sword. Using a secret sword technique, Leo strikes the Void Lord with a single, powerful slash, creating a massive explosion of energy on the ship that destroys the legendary blade. Later, back at the harbor, the princess thanks the team for their bravery and hard work. She notices that Leo is missing and asks where he is. The others tell her that he couldn't make it because he's feeling unwell. When she inquires about the mysterious spirit medium who assisted during the attack, they say it was someone sending Regina's best wishes, which makes the princess smile. Leo, feeling completely exhausted and sore all over, is resting. Regina comes to visit him, bringing some food to show her gratitude for reuniting her with her sister, and she gives him a quick kiss on the cheek. Elsewhere, a group of soldiers is chasing the demihumans who are hiding in the underground tunnels. The soldiers catch up to them and say they're under arrest, but suddenly the soldiers turn into stone. A mysterious figure appears, casting a spell that forces the soldiers to kneel. He introduces himself as the Demon Lord and tells the demihumans that the soldiers will return to normal soon. He promises them a safe haven if they swear loyalty to him. The demihumans, seeing no other option, agree to join him. He calls them the Devil Wolves and creates an underground labyrinth that the soldiers can't see, giving the demihumans a way to escape. Just then, he gets a mysterious call and realizes someone is searching for him, so he quickly leaves. Back at the dorm, Celia notices a large group of crows circling outside. Knowing that crows are drawn to vampires, she thinks Leo might be able to help and starts looking for him. She enters his room and sees Sherry cleaning up, which confuses her. But then, Sherry suddenly vanishes, leaving Celia wondering if she was just imagining things. She calls Leo, telling him she's looking for him, but he hangs up quickly and she decides to take a shower. Meanwhile, the Demon Lord returns to his room and removes his disguise, revealing himself to be Leo. It becomes clear that Leo is planning to rebuild his demon army and believes the demihumans will be useful allies. He heads into Celia's room and accidentally catches her while she's changing clothes. He quickly turns around and apologizes, but Regina walks in and sees them, thinking she's walked in on something inappropriate. Later, at the dining table, Regina mentions rumors about their dorm being haunted, saying people have reported seeing a black dog and a ghost girl. Celia thinks she might have seen the ghost when she saw a girl cleaning Leo's room, but Leo dismisses it, knowing she actually saw Sherry. Regina asks where he's been, and Leo tells her he's been preparing for the upcoming match because he doesn't want to let Celia down. Regina then reveals that their team will be competing against Fenris's platoon in the next match, and it's going to be tough. Celia is determined to win, no matter what. When the match begins, Celia manages to capture one of the enemy's flags. Elfine detects attackers approaching and informs Regina of their location, allowing Regina to take them out from a distance with her sniper skills. Sakuya charges in by herself, creating a distraction while Celia tries to destroy more of the enemy's flags. However, she is ambushed by frost wolves, and one of them bites her, causing her to fall. Fenris appears, revealing she saw through their plan. She made Sakuya chase after her wolves while her team went after Celia's flags. Fenris thinks her team has the upper hand and will win after she defeats Celia, so she prepares for a fight, telling her teammate to handle Leo. Fenris charges at Celia, managing to push her back, and then summons her wolves to pin Celia down. Meanwhile, Fenris's teammate tries to shoot Leo, but he blocks the attack and uses his shadow magic to trap her. Celia manages to break free from the wolves and lunges at Fenris, overpowering her. Leo sees Celia's strength and thinks she might be destined to be his right-hand warrior. In the end, their team wins the match. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure named Nefekes is seen presenting demon swords to his goddess, saying that the time for her awakening is near. Suddenly, an assault garden, a massive floating fortress, appears on the control room's monitors. Celia immediately recognizes it as her hometown, the third assault garden, which disappeared into void territory 6 years ago. It's heading straight for them and is expected to arrive in 7 days. They receive a distress signal from the garden, sent twice, suggesting there could still be survivors there. Their commander orders them to investigate and stop the assault garden, giving them 72 hours to complete the mission. Elfine wonders why their team was chosen for this mission and guesses it might be because Celia is from the 3rd Assault Garden and is the last surviving member of the Crystalia family. Their superior agrees it's possible but mentions that the Administration Bureau made the decision, believing their team is the best for the task. Celia accepts the mission, and the next day, Leo notes he saw the Sacred Order's mark in the city, so he wants to find out who's behind it. He instructs Blackas to protect his kingdom while he's away and tells Sherry to come with him. They fly to the city, and on the way, Regina lets Leo rest his head on her lap and begins cleaning his ear. Leo recalls a memory with Roselia, where she told him her time was running out and that she would be reborn in 1,000 years. Leo promised he would find her and never stop searching. When they reach the 3rd Assault Garden, a thick fog surrounds it, forcing them to continue on foot. Celia tells the other girls to investigate the distress signal while she and Leo focus on stopping the assault garden. Elfine sends her drone to follow Celia, allowing her to keep an eye on things from a distance. Leo summons Sherry, instructing her to protect the girls, as he considers them part of his kingdom now. Celia remembers how the city was destroyed while she was hiding in the shelter. Suddenly, her counter goes off, and they are hit by an energy blast. She gets pinned down, and Leo sees a massive void creature heading their way. Meanwhile, we see a girl named Arl, who realizes she has been sent 1,000 years into the future. She looks around at the ruined city, thinking that there are no humans left. We learn she has been sent here to stop a goddess from being reborn. Nefekes shows up, recognizing her as the great elf hero, and knows she's there to destroy the goddess's vessel with her legendary sword, Crossaxe. She realizes he is the guardian of the vessel and tries to attack him, but he suddenly vanishes, revealing it was just an illusion. He warns her to leave, and a giant void creature moves toward her, threatening to end her life. We jump back to Celia, who is in serious trouble as a giant void creature is getting ready to attack her. Just before it strikes, Leo quickly casts a spell that teleports her into an underground tunnel, pulling her out of danger. The void shoots a powerful energy beam, but Leo blocks it with a magical shield. He tries to fight back by throwing a massive fireball, but the void is protected by some kind of magical barrier. Leo realizes it's a holy shield, like something an angel would use. He thinks the void creature is trying to imitate an angel, but he knows it doesn't stand a chance against him. Meanwhile, the girls see flashes and explosions in the distance. Elfine mentions that her drone feed has gone dark, probably destroyed in the chaos. They decide to head toward the explosion site to find Celia. Back at the fight, the void creature starts firing arrows, but Leo deflects them with ease. He then casts a powerful gravity spell, trying to crush the void with sheer force. But the void pushes back, resisting his magic. Not giving up, Leo steps up his game with an even stronger spell, a level 9 light spell that creates a huge ball of energy pressing down on the void. The creature struggles against it, but then Leo blasts it with a lightning spell, hitting it directly and destroying the void instantly. After defeating the creature, Leo rushes over to Celia. He tells her he took care of the void, but he quickly notices she's in bad shape and badly injured. He tells her to rest, knowing it will take some time for her to recover fully. Suddenly, they notice ghostly figures appearing around them. Celia spots a family crest on one of them and recognizes it as belonging to the Duke, realizing these are the spirits of people who were loyal to her father. The leader of the ghosts, named William, steps forward and explains that he was the one who sent the distress signal. He warns Celia that the 7th Assault Garden is in big trouble because a new Void Lord has appeared in the city, and is sucking energy from the power plant to become even stronger. He believes it's about to wake up. Celia knows she needs to warn the others, but she also understands that no one will believe her without solid proof. Leo reminds her that she's too injured to do much right now and needs to heal. William offers to take her to the mansion, where they might find some evidence. The ghostly figures use their magic to drive a car, but it moves slowly. Leo decides to speed things up by summoning his magical horses, attaching them to the car, and making it go much faster. Meanwhile, the girls encounter a girl named Arl, thinking she's a survivor. But Arl is suspicious and thinks they're working with Nefekes, the mysterious figure behind the voids. She pulls out her sword and tries to attack them, but Sakuya steps in and blocks her, and they start battling. Sakuya wins the fight but decides not to finish off Arl, seeing that she's too wounded to keep fighting. Celia gets a call from Elfine, who asks her about the void she fought. Celia tells her the void is already destroyed but mentions that there's a more dangerous void lord hiding in the city, messing with the power plant, which could explain why the assault garden is active again. She suggests they check it out, but Elfine says they found a survivor and are currently helping her recover. She advises Celia to head to the mansion when they're done. Leo gives Celia a special amulet, explaining that it can turn mana into physical strength, but warns her that it will drain her mana very quickly. He places it within her, telling her to imagine wearing it when she wants to activate it. Celia asks why he's giving her this, and he says it's because he doesn't want her to get hurt again and wants her to stay safe. He also gives her some lucky keychains, saying they bring good luck. The girls help Arl with her wounds, and she explains that she got hurt while fighting a void creature. She asks what they're doing there, and Elfine explains that the city was destroyed 6 years ago, and they were sent to investigate why the assault garden became active again. When Elfine asks Arl why she's there, Arl says she's on a mission to defeat a powerful goddess. As she's about to leave, her stomach growls loudly, and Sakuya offers her some food while Elfine says it's their job to protect her. At the same time, Nefekes is preparing for the resurrection of the goddess when a void creature shows up and reports that his angel has been killed. Nefekes is shocked, believing a human defeated it, and sees this as a serious threat. He decides to take action himself. Celia arrives at the mansion and heads to the library, thinking back to when her father used to spend time there. The ghostly figures use their magic to show her what the library looked like before it was destroyed. She remembers her father telling her stories about a wicked demon lord who made the gods angry, so they sent a hero to defeat him. Her father said the demon lord was beaten, but he wasn't sure if that was the true end of the tale. Nefekes suddenly interrupts her, and she wonders if he might be another survivor from the city. He takes offense at the question and attacks her with magic, knocking her out in one hit. We see a flashback of young Celia with her father, who tells her she has to evacuate to the shelter for safety. She begs him to come with her, but he insists he must stay and fight, reminding her that their family has a duty to protect the city. He tells her to leave because she hasn't awakened her holy sword yet. He also reminds her of the story of the demon lord, saying that he will return to save humanity during their darkest hour to battle the voids. Back in the present, Nefekes thinks he might have overdone it by using a powerful spell to knock Celia out. But as the dust clears, he sees skeleton warriors appearing and wonders who summoned them. The skeletons declare they're here to protect Celia, and Nefekes assumes she must be their master. He prepares to destroy them with another powerful spell, but just then, Leo shows up and blasts him with a fire spell, knocking him back. Celia wakes up and asks about the skeletons. Leo explains that they were summoned using the magical keychains he gave her earlier. Nefekes gets back on his feet, realizing Leo isn't just an ordinary human, and fires a blast of fire. Leo counters with an ice spell, and they clash, but Leo manages to overpower Nefekes. Surprised by Leo's strength, Nefekes tries to figure out who he really is. But before he can continue, the ground starts to rumble violently. Nefekes laughs, saying that the goddess is waking up. Seeing that his job is done, Nefekes escapes through a magic portal, taunting Leo by saying that the end of the world is near. Leo recognizes Nefekes from his past and remembers that he served a Dark Lord from the underworld. Leo wonders what Nefekes is doing here now and starts to suspect that the goddess could be Roselia. Suddenly, a sacred mark appears in the air and the goddess emerges. William, one of the ghostly figures, points out that she is the Void Lord he mentioned earlier. Angels start appearing around her, and Leo sees the goddess's face, realizing she was made from the remains of the legendary hero, Resurrection. Regina, watching from a distance, quickly informs the rest of the team about the goddess's appearance. Elfine activates the ship's systems and sends out a distress signal to call for backup. The angels begin attacking the team, and Elfine says there's no way to run, they have to defeat the goddess to survive. She decides to use her drone to find a vehicle so they can get closer for a direct assault. The team fights the angels, destroying their bodies, but the angels regenerate almost instantly. Elfine scans them and discovers that their weak spot is their heads. She shares this info with the others, and they all aim for the angels' heads, finally managing to defeat them. Leo remembers that Resurrection had the power to bring things back to life, which explains why the angels are able to heal so quickly. The team gets ready for the next challenge, knowing the fight is far from over. As the battle keeps going, Leo notices that the goddess is getting closer. Elfine manages to find some vehicles nearby and shouts for everyone to cover her while she gets them ready. Leo uses a huge fire spell to blast a bunch of angels out of the sky. He knows they might have a chance to beat the goddess, but there are way too many angels around her. He decides he needs to go straight for the goddess if they want to win this fight. Leo uses one of his strongest spells, a level 10 magic that creates a massive ball of light. The light swallows up the goddess, burning her body completely, but she regenerates right away. She starts casting a spell, and Leo quickly throws up a magic barrier to protect himself. The goddess unleashes a rain of fire, covering the whole area in flames. Arl, watching from a distance, recognizes the spell as Nemesis, a super strong level 11 spell that can cause huge destruction. Leo blocks it, but he sees a bunch of angels coming his way. He shouts to Celia to protect him while he tries to take down the goddess. Celia uses her blood magic to form wings and flies up, slashing through the angels. The skeleton warriors that Leo summoned earlier also jump in to help her clear a path. Leo charges straight at the goddess, ready to strike her with his demon sword, Daneslave. Just as he's about to land the final blow, he hears a familiar voice. It's Roselia's voice coming from the sword. For a second, he thinks Roselia might be inside the goddess, and he hesitates. But then he forces himself to attack. The goddess manages to block his strike and fires a bunch of arrows back at him, hitting Leo and knocking him down to the ground. The goddess starts getting ready to use the Nemesis spell again. Celia, using the magic gift Leo gave her, launches a powerful attack that knocks the goddess down. She rushes over to check on Leo, who tells her to get out and save herself. But instead of running, she gives him some of her blood. This brings back memories that Roselia had hidden away in Leo's mind. He remembers Roselia telling him that if she ever turned into a monster, he must use his demon sword to kill her. Leo had said he couldn't do it, but Roselia insisted that Daneslave would guide him. Thinking about this, Leo realizes the goddess can't be Roselia because the sword wouldn't have let him attack her if she was. The goddess must be a fake. Leo gets back up, feeling a bit stronger now. Celia rips off a piece of her dress and hands it to Leo, who uses it to wrap his wounds. He tells her he's going to finish off the goddess and orders her to help from a distance. He knows he still has enough magic left for one last big move. William, one of the ghost spirits, tells him to use the ghosts as an extra energy source. He explains that the souls of the people are still stuck here because the goddess's magic is trapping them. The souls want to help get revenge, so Leo agrees to use their power. He starts chanting a spell, creating a huge ball of energy that begins sucking in the power of the spirits. William wants to help in the fight, but Leo has a different idea for him. He summons more skeletons and lets William and the other ghosts take over their bodies, turning them into a small army to protect him while he gets ready to cast his big spell. Celia uses her blood magic to make weapons for the skeletons and leads them into battle against the angels. Meanwhile, Elfine gets the vehicles up and running, and the girls get ready to leave. But Arl says she wants to stay and fight the goddess. Regina reminds her that she's still hurt, but Arl shows she's still strong by taking down an angel with one hit. She explains her sword, Krozax, was made to defeat demon lords. Sakuya sees how serious Arl is and convinces Elfine to let her join the fight. Back at the battle, everyone is fighting hard to protect Leo as he gathers energy for his spell. But he realizes it's taking longer than he thought. An angel charges at Celia, knocking her down. The skeletons help her up, telling her not to let her guard down. They praise her skills but warn her not to depend too much on her magical dress. Celia admits the dress is draining her energy quickly, but she refuses to give up because she wants to protect Leo. The ball of energy above Leo gets bigger as he continues to absorb the soul's power. The goddess starts casting the Nemesis spell again, and Leo knows he needs more time. He tells everyone to pull back as the goddess releases another wave of fire, burning everything around them. Luckily, the team manages to dodge it just in time. The girls ride their vehicles away, but they see more angels chasing after them. Regina uses her weapon to shoot them down as they try to escape. They spot the goddess in the distance, and Arl gets ready for a final attack. When they reach a destroyed part of the road, they use their vehicle's boosters to jump over the gap. A huge angel appears and gets ready to blast them with an energy attack, but suddenly, it gets yanked back and smashed into a building, instantly destroyed. It was Sherry who stepped in to protect them. She was hoping for a challenging fight but is disappointed at how easily the angel was defeated. Meanwhile, Leo has finally finished charging his spell, but he sees the goddess preparing a massive attack that could destroy everything. He decides to channel all the energy into his demon sword, Daneslave. The goddess lifts a giant chunk of a building and throws it at him, but Celia jumps up and slices it in half with her blood magic. Leo unleashes the full power of his demon sword, aiming straight at the goddess. She puts up a powerful barrier to block his attack. At that moment, the girls arrive. Arl gets ready with Krozax, her special sword. Regina and Sakuya give it everything they've got, but their attacks don't seem to work. Then, Arl uses her strongest move, breaking through the barrier and wounding the goddess. But the girls crash to the ground afterward and pass out. Seeing his chance, Leo hears the goddess use Roselia's voice again, trying to fool him. But he knows it's just a trick. He gathers all his strength and delivers a final, powerful blow with his demon sword, sending a massive blast of energy that completely destroys the goddess. With the goddess gone, William and the ghost spirits are finally at peace. They thank Celia for letting them help one last time before they disappear. Celia hears her friends calling her name and rushes to reunite with Regina and Sakuya, who tell her about Arl's bravery in the fight. Reinforcements soon arrive, and Fenris is relieved to see everyone is safe. He quickly orders medics to start helping the injured as they prepare to head back to base. Leo realizes that Arl was the one who broke through the goddess's barrier, but he's confused about why a hero like her is here. He asks Celia about the book she's reading, and she says it's a story about a demon lord. She reads a little bit to him, and Leo notices it describes him, but a lot of the details are wrong. He figures it's just a made-up story. Back at the dorm, Leo talks with Blackas and Sherry about Nefekes. They know he was the one who woke up the goddess, and they agree he needs to be stopped. Sherry warns Leo to be careful of Arl, thinking she might be here to kill him. Meanwhile, Arl wakes up in the medical room and realizes her mission isn't done yet, so she escapes, determined to find her target. At the dorm, Sherry gets jealous about the magical dress Leo gave Celia, and they start arguing. Celia overhears them and walks in, surprising Leo, who sees her only in a towel. She asks him for more of his blood, saying the dress took a lot of her energy, and Leo hesitantly agrees. She eagerly jumps on him to drink his blood. As this happens, Leo thinks about Roselia and his plan to find her. He also starts thinking about rebuilding his demon army and expanding his empire, wanting to make everyone bow down to him again. But then, out of nowhere, a girl trips and spills her popcorn all over Leo, snapping him out of his thoughts.